Hey, this is Marilyn Gigliotti.
Hey, this is Brian O'Halloran.
Hey, everybody. My name is Scott Schiaffo, actor best known as the Chulies Gum Guy from the film Clerks.
And welcome to Clerks Minute.
You're listening to Clerks Minute.
And I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Hi, this is Mike Zapsik from AMC's Comic Book Man, the podcast I Sell Comics, and the Ming and Mike Show. And you're listening to Clerks Minute. What's up, everybody? This is Ming Chen from AMC's Comic Book Man. You got a minute? Good, because you're listening to Clerks Minute.
Hey, this is Walt Flanagan, the Lon Chaney of the 90s, and you are listening to Clerks Minute.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Clerks Minute, the show where we're looking back at the 2006 Kevin Smith sequel to Transformers Suck Minutes at a Time. I'm Blake.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm Erik Blythe from the Randomchatter Podcast Network.
Yes, and we're here to talk about Clerks 2 Minutes, number 17 and 18. And, Erik, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Yes, last season you were here for Clerks, and you actually came up a conversation a few episodes ago on our show, because we were talking about someone that came on this show not liking this movie, and you came on last season not liking Clerks. So it worked out.
Yes. That's very true. And I have to say, I did like Clerks 2 much better than Clerks.
Yes. Well, let's start with that. What is your opinion on Clerks 2, since we know your opinion on Clerks?
Well, see, I guess my issue with Clerks is I think I said when I was on before, I'm not sure exactly how I put it, but it felt like it was Kevin Smith hanging out with a bunch of friends making a movie. And all due respect, I mean, that's awesome. I love that he got to do that. But as a moviegoer, it felt like they were kind of reading off of cue cards. It felt very kind of overly scripted and forced and all that. And this felt more natural. This felt like they were actually like there. How do I put it? It felt more real.
That makes sense. I completely understand that.
Well, the first one was more art house, and probably that style appealed it to the critics.
Yeah. Yeah, and this was less art house, which I know some people will find kind of a shame, because a lot of people do like that art house feel. And this was much more kind of a mainstream movie. It still kind of held to the independent roots that it had, though. So, a little bit of a mix. Okay,
I'm probably going to be considered a very bad film buff for this, but I hate art films. Hate them. I'm
not a big fan myself.
God.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not even a big film buff. I just like movies, so I'm not that kind of person. So I'm never a big independent film person. That's just
Who
not
wants
me.
to watch 3 hours of the frickin' Empire State Building? Thanks, Andy Warhol.
That's funny.
Oh, of course, it's just for very pretentious people to watch and go, oh my God, it's so meaningful. No, it's not. It's 3 hours of a building shot. It's shot in real time.
Yeah.
Well, that happened.
It all depends on what you want to get out of your movies. Do you want something that's really thought-provoking, or do you want something that's entertaining? And even if you do want something thought-provoking, that is so subjective. It changes from person to person. For me, I just want to get entertained.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I watch
like
films.
A good story. That's why.
Yeah. Empire State Building for 3 hours, not that entertaining.
Yeah.
I've been to the Empire State Building. I'm in person, and I've never lasted longer than a half hour. So there you go.
Well, see, there you go. That's you got the TV sitcom version of it instead of the extended director's cut.
Exactly. I will say, people are going to hear this after this vacation, but I'll say it anyway. Taking my son to New York for the first time, and I know he's going to want to do all the touristy stuff, I guarantee you we'll be there like 5 minutes and we'll move on.
Yeah. So sort of like taking me to New York for the first time.
Yes.
Only I got some really great mementos of our trip there. I bought 2 bootleg DVDs at a bootleg DVD stand.
He had to.
Ah, there you go.
There is even a picture of me browsing the bootleg stand.
Yeah, there's a picture somewhere from that trip. All right, let's actually.
It's like a rite of passage. You have to.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to the movie in hand here. As much as I feel like we have a tendency with our guests just rambling. It's happened with It'll happen in a future episode with the guy from Bat Minute. The show is 45 minutes long. I think we talked about Clerks for like 10 minutes in the episode. So look forward to that one, guys. That's a fun one. Longer than run. So there you go. Anyway, let's get into it because there's a lot here. There's a lot going on in these 2 minutes. And in our last minute, we had Crystal Beth on in our last episode, and she was saying how much she loves the Randal and Elias chemistry. And this is so much fun. These two go at each other. So and Elias is so innocent, but Randal is such a douche, and it works so well. Am I right, Eric?
Well, and it's a different dynamic than we saw in the original Clerks film too, with Dante, because now we can focus on Dante as kind of the primary character, and then these two you've got the two polar extremes. Whereas in the first Clerks, they weren't really two polar extremes necessarily. So it's a little bit different dynamic this time around. I like it.
Yeah, it works. So we start off.
Yeah.
We start off with where we continued at the end of last episode, where Randal apparently would not work for Elias on his birthday, and told Elias working on his birthday would help him build character. Wow, Randal, that's just being a douche. So then, and I wrote this down in my notes because it was so ridiculous. So Elias sees a sign that says "I Heat Cock" on his face on his employee of the month sign, which I love the puns in this place. The puns in here are amazing. I hate puns, but all the puns in this place. But I love Elias's reaction. He's not pissed about it because it probably happens every day. But his reaction is, at least you spelled cock right this time. What? What other variations is he writing on this paper? Like, come on here.
K-O-K. K-O-K-K.
Come on.
K-O-C-K.
Yeah, there are only so many variations. There's only 3 letters in that 4-letter word. Yeah, you've got to get kind of creative to mess it up too much.
K-A-W-K.
But
a W.
It's cool though, because that one sentence says so much about the history of torture that this guy's gone through. If that's what he comes up with when he walks up to this sign, that's his response. Like, that one sentence establishes so much history for the interaction between those two. It was really clever.
It really does. So before I get back to Randal, because Randal had a lot to abuse Elias about, but then I want to know, how many of these pictures does Randal have in his pocket for any time that Elias takes something off his poster, off his little sign there, and then he puts up a drawing of a cock coming on Elias' face? Why does he have these in his pocket? How many did he have in his pocket?
He got on his knees to please Jesus.
I'll get there. We'll get to that. But seriously, come on.
That's a good question. Though, Randal seems like the kind of guy who comes in so prepared. But he doesn't just casually torture someone. He has this carefully crafted in advance. So I don't know. There's a part of me that does kind of look at it and say, my gosh, how many things does this guy carry around in his pocket all day? But then the other side of me thinks, no, he probably spends the night before work putting these things together and getting them ready to go so that he's got the whole day, all the ammunition ready to go.
Yeah, I can see him.
He's just that kind of guy.
I can see him being like the guy who has a stash in his work locker. Is that a stash? No reason. Doesn't use it for clothes. Just use it for torture for Elias.
Pretty much, yeah.
So, he picks on Elias for still getting rights from his mom, which is whatever. He's go with that. But I love the fact that he abuses him for giving her a kiss goodbye. And I love the fact that he says, "What is she, your prom date?"
Yeah.
What? Come on.
Yeah, like Elias went to the prom.
But then we're talking about with Crystal. Elias is what, like 19? So
yeah.
Come on, he's so young.
Yeah.
I'm just saying how cute Randal thinks that he went to the prom.
Actually, I can see Elias going to the prom and going stag and just hanging out on the wall. I can see that, just being the wall guy. Or hanging out with his nerdy friends. I can see that.
Unless his parents said that going to the prom was evil or something.
We'll get there. We'll get to that.
That's a good point.
Yeah. dancing is evil in the eyes of God.
You must stay away from all temptation.
Oh, yes, temptation is the word you're going for there. Very nice. So anyway, but Elias is in a good mood. He's in too good a mood to let Randal bother him. And this is the point where I had to look this up to make sure the timing worked, but leave it to Kevin Smith, of course it does. He read online that there's going to be a live-action Transformers movie. For those wondering, he's talking about the first Transformers movie that came out July 3rd, 2007. And for those wondering, it did make $709.7 million at the box office.
Proof that those who like Michael Bay really can't account for taste.
Well, let me just say real fast. For me, we've talked about other movies on this show before. Unlike the upcoming Lord of the Rings Star Wars debate, I have only sat through half of this movie. I've never gotten through Transformers. I can't do it. I just can't do it.
My dad.
Now I'm assuming then that you also haven't seen any of the sequels.
No, but that's why I'll throw it to you guys, because I know Eric, you have this rant that you hate the Transformers movies so much. I know Kyle sees bad movies all the time, so I'll let you two have it.
I only saw part of the original, and then I wound up seeing Revenge of the Fallen in theaters with my dad, and quite honestly, I've not had the desire to see another one for a while.
Eric, your thoughts?
So a little bit of behind-the-scenes information here. I don't know if you want your audience members to know this or not, but when we were going over where I was going to, like, which segment of the movie I was going to guest on, I'm a big Star Wars buff, big time. So I kind of wanted to hold out for the Lord of the Rings Star Wars debate. But when I saw this scene with the Transformers, I said, oh, no, I got to cover this. Because, listen, as much as I'm into Star Wars, when it comes to the old school Transformers stuff and the cartoons, which is what Randal is referring to through this scene, dude, I can name all of the characters. I can give you the stats. When I was a kid, that was my jam, the Transformers. All right. Generation 1 back in the early to mid 80s, watched every episode of the cartoon. So I can kind of see where he's coming from about getting excited about this. And something you have to keep in mind too about the original Transformers movie is Steven Spielberg was producing it. And Steven Spielberg is a Transformers nut. When he went into the studio to pitch the movie, he walked in with all the original information. He knew the characters. He knew the storylines. He knew the storylines from the comic books even. And when I heard this, I'm thinking, oh, this is in perfect hands. Who better to handle the Transformers movie than Steven Spielberg?
Oh, God.
And then they brought Michael Bay in. And I hate to say it to you guys because you guys skipped out on the first one, but the first one was by far the best of any of them. It just went downhill quickly from there. They were such crap. The redesign of the Transformers characters and the Decepticons all look the same basically with all these jagged,
although I can kind of
shiny metal spikes coming out of them. The second movie, you've got what's that?
Good.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What I was saying was I could kind of see I could kind of see why they would be all jagged, and that is because they're trying to make them look like they just transformed. So of course, with vehicles, you're going to have those jagged bits there.
Well, yeah. So on the Autobots, it kind of worked, but on the Decepticons, like they had these huge, jagged, spiky things sticking out to the point where they looked less like something that would transform into a vehicle anymore, and instead just looked like these big, badly designed robots. And then in the second movie, you've got Optimus Prime wrestling around with two other Decepticons, and it just looks like a big ball of spiky metal rolling around on the ground. You can sometimes make out Optimus Prime because he's got some blue and red in there, but otherwise it was just kind of a mess. So I feel really bad for this character that in Clerks 2 that he's getting all excited about this Transformers movie. He's trying to stand his ground against Randal. He's looking forward to it. Randal is not going to crush his spirit over this movie. And then, later on, he's going to go sit in the theaters opening night and just his soul is going to be devastated.
Randal won't crush his spirit, but Michael Bay will.
Exactly.
I was going to reference. Did you watch the Netflix show The Toys That Made Us?
I did, yes. That is excellent.
Okay, so the Transformers episode, and for those who haven't watched it, I think I still have one episode to watch, but I've watched every other one. The Transformers episode is fantastic. And what I enjoyed about it was they were very honest. They were very honest about reactions to like the original animated movie, and then the reactions from the creators about this movie.
Yeah.
How they didn't like it. Like, I appreciated the honesty.